Okay, so now that I made sure that NPC is after me, hi, I'm Alo, welcome to the review. Yuan is the newest agent added to the game. Her speciality is attack and her attribute is ether. She's from the newly revealed New Eridu Public Security faction, or PubSec for short, which means she's a cop. As such, she's proficient in firearms as well as close combat, making her our first character with both ranged and melee attacks. On first glance, Yuan has one of the most stacked skill descriptions in the game, but don't worry, in practice all that extra text boils down to holding down one button. You just need to know when, and we'll figure that out. Her basic Don't Move is a sequence of 5 quick multi-hit attacks incorporating both melee strikes and ranged shots that have her close the gap between her and enemy one moment and disengage with a parting shot the next. The name clearly doesn't apply to her. The last shot of her 5th attack deals ether damage and grants her one enhanced shot shell. Don't worry about those, we'll get to them in a moment. As she's not just a melee unit but also a ranged one, like other agents preferring to let the bullets do the talking, she has access to a dash attack in the middle of her basic attack sequence. You can perform it by holding down one of the direction inputs during the attack animations. But wait, there's more. For the low price of holding down one button, Yuan enters suppressive mode. By holding down the basic attack button, Yuan forgoes the martial arts and focuses solely on the gun part of Gun Fu in a sequence of 3 range attacks of Please Do Not Resist, and it is here that the enhanced shot shells come into play. By default the shots deal physical damage, however if Yuan possesses any enhanced shot shells, she will consume 1 per each shot to convert the damage into ether. Not only is the damage attribute gonna be different, but also the damage number, as the ether shots have higher multipliers. Apart from doing the full basic attack string, you also get enhanced shot shells from using her EX special, chain attack and ultimate. Her chain assist and ultimate has her blast the enemy with the modded gun, but this time, instead of lobbing a shell like it's a grenade, it fires lasers and seeking missiles. Yes, the police force here has lasers and homing missiles. What a world to be alive in. Anyway, her core passives now. At level 1, yes, passives here do have levels. The first passive increases her damage by 20% when she consumes enhanced shot shells in suppressive mode. That is, when she deals ether damage when you hold down the attack button. And a further 20% if the enemy hit is stunned. Oh, and the bonus also applies to the dodge roll attacks you perform during that. The second passive grants her an additional 30% crit rate for 10 seconds when you use either her EX special, chain attack or ultimate. The buff is applied on use, not hit, so the skills themselves also benefit from the extra crit. Coincidentally, any of the skills triggering it are also the skills that give her 3 enhanced shot shells, and that lines up perfectly with blasting. Just blasting. Okay, her skills have a lot of extra bits of info in them, making them look complicated, but in practice it's not that bad. All you have to do is play. But what's worse is the seeking missiles. The missiles will just lock on to one target and ignore everyone else, even if the enemy is already dead from the first hit, making you just watch wistfully as they all plummet into the concrete, creating a new pothole for the municipalities to worry about. Sometimes though an enemy will move into their path and take a rocket or two on the chin. Yay! While you're playing her against groups of enemies, you may encounter an issue with her basic attack animations because of her mobility. Usually when you fight against a group, and this will come down to preferences, but this is the way how I usually do it, you can lock onto someone in the middle of the group, and attacking with your melee character will hit the enemies closest to you first, and start pushing them toward the middle of the pack. But Yuan rolls. Often she will roll past some enemies and find herself surrounded from all sides. Moreover, she will no longer cleave any of the other enemies, not staggering them and giving them ample opportunity to just attack her freely before or sometimes even after she rolls out. Because of that quirk of her animations, I found it best to just not use lock-on in combat against multiples of smaller enemies, leaving her to freely switch between targets depending on who happens to be the nearest, which sometimes leads to an almost John Wick-like gun kata spectacle. Her A talent lives up to the name, as it very much feels A tier. So much so that after having played with it after getting it from an event in Hollow Zero, you will miss it dearly. Well, okay, it's not that bad, it's just when it works really well. Alright, but before we move on, the talents have lore. Her talent B description mentions that PopSec is designing the ammo to ensure that anything or anyone that gets shot, if they survive, they at least will have to deal with irreversible corruption. This is like real-world police using irradiated bullets to make sure if someone lives after a gunshot, they still get cancer. Currently in-game there's only one set of artifacts, relics and drive discs that can provide you with ether damage bonus, and that's chaotic metal. The 2-piece bonus is the aforementioned 10% increase for ether damage, and the 4-piece and as to how they compare, so it's probably at this point that I should fess up that math is mostly arcane gibberish to me, as I'm not really a theory crafter. You could say I'm a theory crafter only in theory. This video started as an exercise for portfolio and got out of hand. this is also why the audio is rather bad. I'm not really an audio guy. But all the things I mentioned here are still accurate, which hopefully you can tell from the footage. Just don't ask me to do math. So whenever I present something involving numbers, take it with a pinch of salt. But worry not, the real theory crafting is the friends we made along the way, so let's move on to best squad compositions for Yuan. By far the best teammate for Miss Police Officer is Ridu's most law-abiding citizen ever, Nicole. Currently there are no other NPS members, and
Look at me carefully. I have everything you want. I'm everything.
in conclusion, I think of the 5 ZZZ characters with dark hair with red accents and red eyes, Yuan definitely places at least second. But remember, Nicole is also Ether. She's great and we get her for free. Well, Belle, I think this one might have been a little bit biased. It's almost as if Nicole commissioned it herself.